Vamsa Paramacharya Majesty Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Brahmacharya Shailas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktarinda Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktarinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Guru, all glories to Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we can read from Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the 6th canto, chapter 1, text 2.
Should be.
Pravriti lakshanos chaiva traigunya vishayo mune yusva hina prakriter gunasargaha puna puna. Pravriti, by inclination.
By inclination.
Lakshanaha, symptomized. Cha, also. Eva, indeed. Traigunya, three modes of nature. Vishayaha, possessing as objectives. Mune, or great sage. Yaha, which. Asau, that. Alina prakrite, of one who is not freed from the clutches of Maya. Gunasargaha, in which there is a creation. Of material bodies. Puna, again and again. Translation. O great sage Shukadeva Goswami, unless the living entity is freed from the infection of the material modes of nature, he receives different types of bodies in which to enjoy or suffer. And according to the body, he is understood to have various inclinations. By following these inclinations, he traverses the path called Pravriti Marga, by which one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, as we have already described in the 3rd canto. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. So Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Devavatam Devam Pitrinyanti Pitri Vrataha Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja Yanti Madhyajino Pima. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. And those who worship me will live with me. Because of the influence of the various modes of nature, the living entities have various tendencies or propensities. And therefore they are qualified to achieve various destinations. As long as one is materially attached, he wants to be elevated to the heavenly planets because of his attraction to the material world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares, however, those who worship me to come to me. If one has no information about the Supreme Lord and his abode and tries to be elevated only to high material position, but when one concludes that in this material world there is nothing but repeated birth and death, he tries to return home back to Godhead. If one attains the destination, he need never return to this material world. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brahmananda Brahmite Kunya Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lata Beej. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. All living entities are rotating throughout the universe, going sometimes up to the higher planetary systems and sometimes down to the lower planets. This is the material disease which is known as Pravriti Marga. When one becomes intelligent, he takes to Nivritti Marga, the path of liberation, and thus, instead of rotating within this material world, he returns home, back to Godhead. This is necessary. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Vinamani Namaste Saraswati Devam Gurvani Prachani Nirvishesha Shinamadi Pashkari Vasatana. O great sage Shukadev Goswami, unless the living entity is freed from the infection of the material modes of nature, he receives different types of bodies in which to enjoy or suffer. And according to the body, he is understood to have various inclinations. By following these inclinations, he traverses the path called Pravriti Marga, by which one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, as we have already described. So here, as a prelude to the description of the life of Ajamil, an analysis is given, practical analysis, that unless one is freed from the infection of the material modes of nature, he receives different types of bodies in which he enjoys and suffers. And according to the body, he is understood to have various inclinations. That means in the body is built a certain mechanism which causes us to act in a certain way. Basically, all materialists end up on this level with their analysis. They can never go beyond that. They always perceive and analyze the other living entities around them simply according to the position of the body. Subtle or gross. Subtle, you may call it psychiatrist or psychoanalyst. They analyze how the subtle body works. And then there is most of the allopathic doctors, they are simply observing the functionings of the physical body. And then they inject certain chemicals. It's even known that when you inject certain chemicals into the physical body, the subtle body will be also influenced. It's called intoxication. It's nothing. Prabhupada defined intoxication as nothing as different degrees of poison. All the substances which are intoxicating are actually poisonous to various degrees. But to be intoxicated is also one of the mechanisms built into this body. People are intoxicated by, by lust. It's a severe intoxication. When you are lusty, so many chemicals get released. They even, claim that soon he will discover the chemical to start love. You inject a chemical, that person becomes very loving, very inspired to love. So they this is serious. This is a serious announcement. We will, invent a chemical which causes you to love. On the other side, in between, you can see Srila Prabhupada books are really going around. As you will find it served out on the internet, one of the main servers in the Eastern countries. There's discussion about various issues, and very seriously it's written, there is no love, it's just lust. Where's this idea coming from? This wasn't here in the 60s. Nobody said such a thing in the 60s. The only time, and the first time I read such a thing was in Prabhupada's books. So you can see these books, they disseminate just ideas. People even don't know where it's coming from. Maybe that man who wrote this, serious thing, there is no love, there is just lust. Maybe that man is, got it from somebody, who got it from somebody, who got it from somebody, who read it in Prabhupada's book. And there are so many ideas popping up like this which are quite not even that popular. Even amongst devotees, when I say in a lecture, there is no love, just lust, I will get a solid opposition. There will be people say, get rid of him. He preaches hatred, polarizing, opposition, conflicts, anger. What is this? Spiritual life is loving. We should be loving. Okay, absolutely agreed. What is love? So Krishna is informing Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, kill them all, this is love. This is very loving, because by being released from the sinful bodies, they will be liberated first of all, and second of all, they will be making a solid advancement. Now this is not advocating violence or terrorism whatsoever. This is Krishna speaking, this is not us speaking. There is a great, in India there was, I don't know if it's even existing until today, there was a terrorist group who was claimed to be strict followers of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, kill them all, so we kill you all now. Very ferocious, as in Naxalites or something like this. They were very ferocious. You know, no fear of the body. That's the reason why these battles in the Vedic times were so ferocious, because everybody knew I'm not this body. And if I die here, it can get only better. As a matter of fact, a Kshatriya following his duty, dying on the battlefield, he will automatically go to heavenly planet, even without Krishna consciousness. It's a very swift lift to heavenly planets, following simply your duty. You know, so that's not that we advocate violence, physical violence. Not at all. Especially the followers of Lord Chaitanya should be very well aware that Lord Chaitanya didn't advocate violence. But he advocated an uncompromising chastity towards the principles of Krishna consciousness. And in this way he was also violent. Even when Maharaj Pratapariva wanted to approach him, he was a king. He said, I don't want to see him. He's a king. That's not nice. He was a devotee. He wanted to have a darshan of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said no. Then one of his foremost sannyasis was slightly involved in a lusty thought about a woman. Lord Chaitanya rejected his association immediately. That sannyasi commits suicide out of despair. That's a bona fide way for a sannyasi to, atone his sinful activities, suicide. So even we don't advocate suicide, but for any sannyasi it's entering the Ganges. That's what that sannyasi did. So because he commits suicide, actually became a sannyasi ghost. Anyway, that's a long story. He was a beautiful singer. Lord Chaitanya himself went always every night to the Ganges and listened to the chanting of this wonderful sannyasi ghost. But then he was informed that the devotees, informed him, he committed suicide. Lord Chaitanya said, very good. That's the best thing he could do. It's very heavy. It's very heavy. So again, we are not advocating suicide, we are not advocating violence, but we are advocating the chastity to the principles given. Because, as one of my Gurus said once very nice in a lecture, you want to be the last ones who is representing Krishna consciousness. Meaning, actually, you don't prepare any ground for the others to continue. Like Srila Prabhupada, again repeated, I'm a dying man, I will die. You have to keep on going with Krishna consciousness. And they were like, what is Krishna consciousness? Oh. He said it in a very early stage to, impose upon the devotees that you have a serious responsibility here. You have to understand what you are doing. And you cannot compromise the principles by given principles for the name of popularity, for the name of pragmatism. Let's be pragmatic. let's do something people like. They will like us. They must like us. Let's do something like that. Srila Prabhupada said, if I would compromise the four regulatory principles, I would become a very, very big guru. I would have millions of disciples, not just 3,500 or 4,000. I would have millions of disciples, of course. And there were gurus in his presence who were actually doing that. Became very prominent, very popular, by preaching exactly that what people like to hear. So this is not the line of Srila Prabhupada. He was not ready to change, he was not ready to back away from this. And very uncompromising, never seen before presentation of the Shastra. And Prabhupada said, this is what I learned from my spiritual master. My spiritual master was planned to be killed, for his uncompromising attitude. Not by demons, by the local Brahmins in Vrindavan when he entered with his, procession. Because they felt threatened in their existence. That uncompromising his preaching was. So this is this is how far it can go. So this is what Prabhupada implemented into us. You have a responsibility to carry. You cannot change things just for the name of momentarily excitement and pleasures and this. You cannot. You're not allowed. So this is valid both individually and collectively. So Prabhupada also knew how weak we are. He knew that there is a mistake. He knew there is a flaw. Krishna himself is predicting it in the Bhagavad Gita. Where there is a fire, there is a smoke. Smoke is not so nice. Causes us coughing. We want the fire. But when you make fire, very likely there will be smoke. So you cannot compromise. You have to take it realistically. You cannot expect absolute perfection. If devotees expect that, reading Prabhupada's books, while there's a states of absolute perfection described, we expect that we will have this implemented tomorrow. That's probably not so easy. But we should strive. We should strive for it. And we should not, as the Christians goes, the flesh is weak. I remember one cartoon in the 60s, there was one very poisonous French cartoon maker. I can show you the picture. He's sitting in a big French cathedral, alone, because no Sunday feast, no guests, no bhaktars. So he's sitting there in this huge cathedral in this bench, and he has this sheepish big smile looking in the sky, and he says, I did it again. Knowing well that on Sunday I will atone and regret what I have done, but I will for sure do next week again. Prabhupada, that kind of cheating doesn't work on God. God cannot be cheated like this. I came here, I promise, I will, I did this and I did that, forgive me, it's wrong, I know. But next week I start again. So this kind of deals being cut between the conditioned soul and God, that doesn't fly. God is not impressed. He is very merciful to weakness, but that kind of planned, conscious, scheduled attitude, no response. You can chant whatever you want, no response. So this is what Prabhupada imposed upon us all the time. It's heavy, it's very heavy, because we are confronted with our conscience every day, all the time. Can you really stand for that, what you are doing? Can you stand for that, what you are part of? How do you reconcile this with your conscience? That's a question which devotee has to face all the time. Karmis don't have such a problem because most of them. There are those who struggle very much on this platform too. But they don't have such a problem because conscience? What conscience? I can do any damn thing I want. So what? Once you lost the idea of supreme control, action and reaction law of karma, once you lost these concepts, then there's no barriers. As a matter of fact, they even preach this to each other all the time. Don't feel bad. Don't feel, remorseful about something you have done. Go on. Keep on going. And they knock each other out, and they have such a superficial, sensual dealings, using each other basically as utensils, as a means to enjoy, like the kitchen equipment or something like that. I will use you to smear my bread, What? We don't work? Next one. There's no sincerity in dealings. Even they talk so much about such a high values, but there's no sincerity. Nobody's actually much serious about anything, except the momentary sense gratification. This is what counts. And the recognition of one's ego and the false concepts. This is actually what is counting. So, this is what the devotee has to struggle with. We got the responsibility. We got Prabhupada said it to devotees who were not even initiated, who were just sympathizers. And he said, no, you got into. He said it to Indians. Indians anyway have a special responsibility. Lord Chaitanya said, anybody born in this country has a responsibility to spread Krishna consciousness. Born in India. So Prabhupada was appealing on it all the time, especially in 1977, in his last lectures, which was mostly in India. He pressed this point all over again. He said, you have responsibility to continue, you have responsibility to present Krishna consciousness, by word and by action. So this is actually the responsibility we have. So we are caused by the modes of nature to act in a particular way. If you are packaged in this body, you will activate, and actually you cannot change it. Sometimes pathetically the devotees try to change it, no, I should be acting like this. Or you end up acting. It's like, there's so many examples from the Shastra how that looks like. Arjuna tried once upon a time to look like a Brahmana. He was a Brahmana in disguise. It was not accepted. The Brahmanas are begging donations. Kshatriyas are never begging anything. So when Arjuna said, give me a donation, then he went, that's a strange Brahmana. He speaks like police, And a very, very muscle-man Brahmana. It was discovered he had a print here from the string of the bow, because the bows you carried, over the shoulder. Which in a Western archery, I know a little bit about it. So in a Western archery, you unstring the bow when you stop shooting. It's a trick to string a bow. You have to fix it behind the right foot, go over the shoulder and bend it, and then you have the string which you attach to it. There has to be power on it. Otherwise you cannot shoot. The more power is on the string, the longer distance you can shoot. So, but the Vedic Kshatriyas, obviously, they didn't unstring the string. They had the bow always ready. So to carry the bow, they turn it backwards and they carry the string here. So there was a mark on the shoulder that you could see, this is the carrier of the bow. Kshatriya, who else? So there are so many symptoms in boys. There's a whole Vedic science. How do you judge a varna of a human being, even according to the shape of the fingers? Brahmanas tend to have a more tender bodies. Not always. Doesn't have to be like that. Their material nature is an exception, but Brahmanas are, usually not so sensual and artistic. Like Kshatriya can be, Vaishya can be, and what to speak of a Shudra. Shudra is the entertainer. He likes entertainment. There's a hall, and you get into this psycho and physical analysis of the varnas. It's quite specific. You can see, sometimes deceiving. Like there was this question raised, what about us devotees? If I'm in a Shudra body, I still like to, I'm sitting in a lecture, I'm reading, I'm preaching, I'm studying shlokas. Am I Shudra or Brahmana? What am I? No. In this movement, everybody is supposed to learn. and everybody is supposed to preach. However, the preaching will be conducted close to his mind. It will be there. So you cannot avoid it. Absolutely impossible. Shudra is going to be quite artistic. Sometimes not. You know, I'm coming from a country where the construction worker, after the work, will go and play in the orchestra. You know, there's a saying, one Czech, one musician. And you cannot believe it, what they can play. They have festivals all the time. It's all Shudras. They do the whole day construction, bang, bang, bang. And the evening they're all, and all the time singing and this and that. And there was a festival of country music, cowboys, with banjo, Czech has a big tradition in that. So the guests from America arrived, and they were coming with their banjos, professional, well-dressed, music. And then the Czech band started playing, they were just shocked. They said, wow, these guys are better as us, because they were just gifted, it's just built in, and everybody has a built inclinations which will come out one way or another. Some of them we can use for Krishna, some of them better we don't. So that's called austerity. Austerity means to sacrifice the built-in inclination for the sake of the mission of Srila Prabhupada. In other words, if it's not needed, then don't do it. But then, of course, and that's massive, devotees have this claim, no, I have this inclination and therefore I must use it. For Krishna, of course. No, Prabhupada agreed, yes. But that's the initial period. Like he told one hippie, you have to carve the flutes you are producing in such a way you can play only the Hare Krishna melody. Prabhupada called it Krishnaized. We Krishnaized that. That means we gave it a spiritual dimension. But when that poor guy gets the idea, I am the chief of the pure devotees because I carve such a nice flutes, we can play Hare Krishna, then he becomes eventually an offensive fool and falls down. So this idea that I have this inclination, that's the best way to serve Krishna. No, that's your conditioning. And Krishna kindly accepts, maybe, that you can serve. Therefore, direction of a spiritual master must be there, who is freeing gradually the disciple from his attachment to the inclination the body produces. That doesn't mean he will maybe change the course of action for him, but he's freeing him from the attachment. So this is actually what we should understand. Therefore, the guidance from a spiritual master is absolutely essential, because